think the 3 days really, we went from high to low, all in 3 days, and I definitely expected to have 39 days on the beach, but we were so dehydrated, at least I'll speak for myself. I was so dehydrated, I had no idea it would be like that, and having watched it since season 1, really never had a proper understanding of how quickly your strength gets depleted and how serious taking care of yourself physically is, and I just couldn't do it. We couldn't make fire when we tried. We couldn't have food. We ate a few coconuts, and then by the time we got to the challenge, on day 3, we were just in bad shape, but I certainly would have expected to have more days on the island. I think that they made a mistake. I think it was a short-term, a long-term mistake, because our tribe had a chance to do well. We had a tough start. We were not the brainiest people in terms of Survivor. We were really an interesting tribe. I'd say 4 out of 6 of us were very interesting from a brain standpoint out of the game. But in the game, we couldn't figure out fire or water, or we couldn't build a shelter. We couldn't do the things you had to do, but those would have come over time. And I think voting me out, did they think I was the biggest threat and they started that early? It was a complete blindside. I had an alliance that I thought, I mean, everyone voted out gets an alliance, has an alliance that they thought they had, and obviously didn't. So they voted for me first, and we'll see how it goes the rest of the way for them. As I look back on my short time on the game, I realize that as controlling as I want to be, that you can only control things that you can control. And that's something that I've always thought about and try to use in the real world. I can't control the outcome of a baseball game. You can put the best players that you think out on the field, but once the first pitch is thrown, you cannot control the outcome. And going into Survivor, I had a 9-inning game plan, and I had a 162-game season plan. And I just feel as though I didn't even get out of the first inning, and I cannot believe that happened. And it just goes to show you that even when you think that you know everything that's going on, you always have to look around, because there's always someone else doing something else. My best time on Survivor, I believe, was when we first got to the beach and realized that this was going to be our home, and I took a very long-term approach, that this was going to be a 39-day home. I imagined that being the beach for the merge, and I imagined everything, so I immediately started to get my bearings and try to find coconuts and try to do as much as I could to drink and work and not stop working. And I enjoy that, because I don't get dirty fingernails, and I don't get to use a machete, and I don't get 10 blisters on my hand and cuts on my feet and legs. I just don't get that in my real life, and to have an opportunity to experience that is something that I loved. And on the beach, my worst time is taking the last drop of coconut when I knew that I had no other source of nourishment, and I knew we had a challenge, and we had red tree mail, and took a drink, and that was a very bad time, because I knew that I was not satiated. I still think Survivor and baseball are really related. You come in with a game plan during spring training of what you want your season to be, and I came into Survivor with a plan of how I wanted to play it, try not to come off as overbearing or as a leader, and I did not do that. And but somehow I was viewed as threatening, I guess, or just someone not likable, or whatever the reason was, and I'm not questioning them. They made a choice, and they'll live with that. So in baseball, you prepare, but then things happen out of your control. You may have a bad call by an umpire. You may have a small little single that falls just in front of an outfielder that scores the winning run, but it was the best pitch that a pitcher could throw, but the result wasn't there. There are things that you just can't control. And in Survivor, there's so much out of your control that you can't make yourself crazy. I've been watching Survivor since the beginning, and it turns out that I knew nothing about what it meant to be on Survivor. I feel like I know what it would be to be the sole survivor, but not to be on Survivor. So, number 1, the absolute physical toll you cannot tell from your couch. The way that you feel and the amount of time that you have to contemplate how badly you feel, and that's only after 3 days of no food, no water. That's real. That's not made for TV. No food, no water, some drops of coconut meat and some coconut water, and that was it. The challenges on TV, I feel like, oh, what challenge couldn't I do? But guess what? You're so tired, you're so hot, you're so dehydrated. The challenges are long, difficult, and harder than I would have expected. And the third thing that was different for me is I'm very secure and confident in my life outside of Survivor, but you can't tell from the TV how insecure and tough it is to watch people talking and not knowing what they're saying and thinking you have an idea because you had a conversation first, but not realizing it could be a totally different conversation. And it's worse than a high school locker room full of dizzying 14-year-old girls. And that's what my tribe was like. And I would assume that's what all these tribes are like. To me, the hardest part of the game is leaving 36 days on the table. And you're supposed to be able to have another at-bat. And there's so many analogies between baseball and Survivor. They're endless. And to get voted out in the first inning like that, it makes no sense to me, because where's the comeback? Where's the chance? That wasn't the ninth inning.